that you understand, 'cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, 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 believe. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart. Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand, 'cause you are the one for me. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe. Listen to your heart. 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 Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand, 'cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, 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 believe. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart. Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me.
Yes, welcome back everyone to another late night chat, stream, podcast, live show. My favorite show that I do every week, your favorite show that we do every week, and all you have to do when you arrive here is hit that like button, man. Hit that like button, hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you're new around here. We have plenty to talk about. It's starting to heat up in the transfer world for Manchester City. You know, when we kind of got the word Alvarez was going to leave, we figured more business. I said I wouldn't be surprised if we did more business, but I'm not expecting more business. Now I'm expecting more business. I'm on that business, you know what I'm saying? So we're gonna talk about that. I've got some little, not ITK for you, because I never claim to be an ITK, but I have something for you that I'm gonna sprinkle on you, and you guys can tell me what you think about it. So listen, hold tight. I've got some stuff to tell you. We've got some stuff to discuss. You guys gotta share your opinions. I'm gonna share mine. If you don't like my opinion, say Hugh, stop being an idiot. If you like my opinion, say Hugh, you're a really handsome, smart City fan. So hit the like button. Who have we got in the building, man? Who have we got in the building? We got 50 already here. Get those likes up. Daniel Thompson, member for 4 months, says I would love Eze and Pedro Neto. I've seen that it's quite a divisive situation as to who people want to come in. I think we are going to get another attacker this summer, and who that may be, people are kind of going back and forth on. So listen, big up to you, Daniel Thompson, member for 4 months. We got Darsh, we got Riju, we got Akash. GG's counting to 115. Big up Briggsy, man, says like the stream, man. AK4 Pete Base Kirby, the King LFC Sai, one of our kings of the members. Always fantastic to see you in the building, LFC Sai, man. He says I'm looking forward to the new season. We all are. Plenty of content to come here. We've got Dylan, we've got Mr. Fro, we got Puneet. Welcome everybody. I hope you're all doing very well. Ewan, good to see you. Hello, lad. United, of course, one rule for them, one rule for the other. Myself and Joe were kind of just discussing that PSR stuff. Me and Joe don't claim to be qualified enough to talk like in depth about that, but it seems like United have one rule for them, one rule for everybody else. You know, they were saved essentially. But let's stick on Man City. Yeah, Alvarez is gone. Apparently, he signed his 5-year deal at Atletico today. And the City fan base has been interesting since we found that Alvarez was going. You know, a lot of people saying we don't need to replace him. They would rather give Savio, Bob, McAtee, these kind of people more minutes, and I fully get that, and I accept that. And if that was to be the case, if that is to be the case, that's kind of cool with me. You know, I'm all game for giving the youth more time, but just my more anxious side likes to think we would go and get one more, you know, good player in with a bit of experience, bit of pedigree, just to give us another option, if that makes sense. And the reports today suggest that City are going to go into the market, because I think City feel it's potentially catastrophic to not have another option in the attacking area of the pitch. Big up, I am Guardiola. Welcome to the member club. Has he been a member before, or is he a returning member? I'm not too sure, but he's always in the chat.
I think that's a new member because he's only got the new member badge. So I haven't. I don't think he's been one before now.
Well, congratulations to you, I am Guardiola. Massively appreciate you becoming a channel member. It's a great club, a prestigious club for prestigious people, and you're just helping out myself and Joey Boy a lot. There's a link in the chat if anybody wants to be a channel member like I am Guardiola. If you're a regular here and you enjoy the content, you know, it's just a good way to support. And AK, member for 1 month. Big up Hugh. Time for a 5p and a second Champions League title. I don't see why not. AK. You know, if we move strong in the transfer market over the next, I don't know how long left there is, maybe 3-4 weeks. I think there'll be 2 incomings. And I do, like I said, I have something to tell you guys about a player that a lot of you like, regarding Manchester City. So we'll slow down though. We'll slow down. Right, Joe. Alvarez is gone. Like I said, there's reports suggesting, and I believe to be true, that City are going to go back into the transfer market and look for an Alvarez replacement, but that may not mean a direct replacement, you know, a number 9, essentially, a backup number 9, because if you talk about getting a backup number 9, you're kind of in the same conundrum with getting a backup number 6, aren't you? Like, how many strikers can you entice to come to Manchester City while you have Erling Haaland sitting in there? How many number 6s can you entice to come to Manchester City when you have Rodri sitting there? So we could very easily go and get a midfielder, a winger, one of these versatile attackers that Pep Guardiola really likes, that could potentially also play as a false 9. As we know, it's been a very successful system for us in years gone by. Plenty for once rumored names to be linked with the club. Eze and Neto, obviously of Palace and Wolves, seem to be the ones kind of on top of the list right now, I suppose. Before you kind of talk about who you like, where you want to go with it, I don't think you even gave me your proper opinion on the other day. Are you in favor of not spending money, even though we have a lot of money, and, you know, given McAtee's going to get a new contract, Bob really well preseason, Savio's just in, and letting these lads go, you take these minutes, even though in my opinion it is a risk, but is it one you're willing to take? Or is it, no, look, we need one more kind of Premier League proven or Champions League proven player with a bit of pedigree, a bit of experience, to almost complement these young players?
I mean, kind of a bit of both. That's kind of been my opinion. I don't think that... Well, my opinion is I would rather we go for a deeper midfield player with the money rather than an attacking player. I'm kind of happy. I'm kind of happy with letting Oscar Bob take up more minutes, Savio come in and take up some minutes, McAtee get some minutes, you know, mainly in cup matches, and, you know, when we're at home against one of the bottom half sides, maybe he comes in every now and then. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, I can go with that, but I'd understand if we were to go and sign a replacement, because I do also see the side of Alvarez got 34 G&A last season. The man's kind of just guaranteed output, and we've lost that. You know, we've lost 20 to 30 goals and assists a season, pretty much, because that's what he'd end up with. You know, steady 20, 25, maybe even 30 if he gets more minutes a season, and we've lost that. So I'd understand if we were to go and get a forward player to make up some of the numbers, because, again, like you said, it's a big risk to let Oscar Bob take up more minutes and Savio take up minutes when these players aren't, you know, the most proven of players. But I don't see a world in which we sign another number 9. I don't see that one at all. I think that's completely out of the question. I don't think the market is necessarily good in terms of what you can get for what you pay for. You know, we'll look at clubs around the Premier League. There's Tottenham, and they're linked to Solanke, and it's like, you know, he had a decent season, but, like, for the money you're paying, probably not
Tottenham's
worth getting
11.
Solanke. Yeah.
Tottenham's
Like,
11.
like the market for out and out number 9s, unless you're gonna break the bank, it's not good. So there's a lot more options to go in midfield. I don't want it to be another winger. I really don't think we need another winger. You've got Oscar Bob, Savio, Bernardo Silva, Grealish, Doku, Foden can play out there if needs must. Like, you've got players. You do not need another solid winger. Because let's say you do bring in Pedro Neto. Let's just use that as an example because that's one of the names we've been linked to. You've then got Grealish and Doku on the left. Then you've got Savio, Oscar Bob. Then you add Pedro Neto who can play both sides. Then you've got loads of wingers, and it's like, what happens there? Who plays? Who misses out? Does Oscar Bob not get an increase in minutes even though he's impressed in pre-season? Is the plan then Grealish then becomes a midfielder, but then if he becomes a midfielder, he then, sees a decrease in his minutes as well? Because, let's be honest, he'll be competing with Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden. So if Grealish was to become a midfielder, he'd lose out on a lot of minutes. So I don't necessarily think it needs to be a winger. Maybe a more versatile option like an Eze would be useful. But I'm still of the mindset of first thing that needs addressing is backup to Rodri. He's currently injured, hasn't been in training or anything. Man's still on holiday celebrating. Been banned from one match from UEFA competition as well. He's probably going to miss. Well, he is going to miss the first group stage game, or the league phase game as it now is, of the Champions League. Like, Kovacic being the only real cover that we have there, but the only senior cover at least that we have there, is kind of just a little bit worrying because Kovacic isn't a bad player, but he's not a 6 by trade, and he does rack up a fair few injuries out during the course of the season. He's not, he's quite an injury-prone player. He picked up a few injuries towards the running at the end of the season, just gone. Like, that'd be my main focus. Which is why I'm kind of a bit of both, because I'd be okay if we didn't sign an attacking player. But I still do want us to go and spend some money and buy, someone to replace his position in the squad. At least one player. Like, come on. We got to buy someone. I like Savio, but come on. We need to, like, when Arsenal are improving, Liverpool, apparently they want that Zubimendi guy as well. United have signed pretty well. Like, everyone's improved and we've kind of stood still. Like, if we're being honest, no matter how good Savio is, losing Alvarez, like, it's not, you can't really say that we've massively improved.
Hit the like button, people, man. 7 off 50. 7 off 50. So let's get up to 50 likes, man. Double check you've hit it. From where I'm sitting, it seems like City have money to spend. All the indications would suggest City have money to spend. To my knowledge, I believe over the last 2 summers or something like that, we've accumulated around 90 million in just player sales. Academy graduates, fringe players, and so on and so forth. And we've barely spent a penny of it. Then there's all your trophy success. And look, these aren't things that we're actually equipped to really talk about, because the day-to-day financial runnings of the football club are obviously far more complex than what you or I can really articulate. But for me, it seems like we do have money to spend. We're prepared to spend, what was it, 80, 85 or something on Lucas Paqueta. We've not spent that. And I get the club stance, which is that if they don't find the right player or they don't believe the player is worth X and Y amount, the club simply won't spend it. But we are in a position, people, right now where by hook or by crook, we have to spend. We're going to have to buy this summer, I'm all cool with the blind optimism of believing in youth and, trusting this and trusting that. And that's cool. I'm for it. But it has to be within reason. Like I said, I think big no-go number 1 is giving Nico O'Reilly the keys to being Rodri's deputy. That's just out and out outrageous. Outrageous. You're giving him those keys on the basis that you believe he's going to be good enough off the bat to be trusted in Premier League situations. Do you want Nico O'Reilly as the number 6 in Stamford Bridge in 2 weeks' time? If you say yes, I think you're crazy. I really do. I think you're crazy. That's not me saying for 1 second that Nico O'Reilly isn't a good player or he's not going to be a good player. It's simply protecting the player. It's simply protecting a young player with a lot to learn, and protecting his potential and his development and stunting his growth. I think we have to go out and spend money. I think, first of all, of course, I agree 100%, and all 120 of you in the chat will agree with me. City must have a sufficient backup to Rodri. And more than likely, that will mean a player who can play 6 and 8, because as I've already said, you're not really going to get a number 6 willing to come to City and just go, lock horns with Rodri for position, because none of you are taking Rodri's position. And then the reality is, it seems like City are leaning towards we do need an attacking option, and it's not going to be a number 9. The number 9 market is quite shit. The number 9 market is quite shit right now. Maybe the only one that I can think of off the top of my head that if you said to me he wants to come, he's cool with competing with Haaland, and so on and so forth, is Isak. Maybe just Isak. I like Isak. Not a fucking hope in hell he wants to come to Manchester City. So that's just a complete, left field kind of to give you an indication of where I feel and how I feel about the situation. So then we're looking back again to that umbrella of midfielders that I always talk about to you a lot. Midfielders / winger / false 9. We're looking at 2 different types of players in Eze and Neto. Neto is a more... I don't know about Ivan Toney, Nitin. I don't know. Maybe. I don't rate him as high as I rate Isak anyway. Neto is a more out-and-out winger, of course. If we were to go and get Neto, that would push me to believe my hunch that Grealish will spend a bit of time in the midfield this season to be true. And then Grealish finds himself being one of these utility versatile players between midfield and wing, like the way Alvarez kind of found himself between striker and midfield last season. And also we're looking at Eze at Crystal Palace, not for the first time, of course. We were linked to him last summer, who's really versatile. I can see why Eze would appeal to Pep Guardiola. I mean, just looking at his positions played last season, he made 31 appearances last season for Crystal Palace. I think he had a couple of injuries. He played left mid once, attacking mid through the middle 17 times, left wing 8 times, and right wing once. So he's got a lot of versatility about him, which is something Pep obviously really, really likes. He's very different, I think, to pretty well any of the midfield options that we have. I think the most similar player in our squad in terms of stylistically I can think of to Eze is probably Aston Villa's Jack Grealish when Grealish was at Villa. That kind of player Grealish was at Villa, who'd get the ball, he'd drive with the ball, he'd break through the lines, and at pace type thing, strong runner with the ball, and he'd try and make things happen. Had an eye for goal, of course, too, last season, as I picked up 11 goals and 6 assists in 31 appearances. They're very, very good stats. So that's the kind of way I look at Eze. And what player we seem to lean in towards most will probably indicate to you what young players, first of all, will see the most minutes, and where maybe the likes of Jack Grealish and Bernardo will see the most of their minutes. I mean, Chat and Joe, where do you sit with this? Obviously, Eze and Neto sit kind of top of the rumor mill right now for Manchester City. I like them both. I do. I really like them both. I think they both have their attributes that would appeal to City. Maybe Neto, maybe less so. I don't know. Does he have the technical ability and the ball control that Pep really loves? But he's a direct, aggressive runner. But we kind of have that now with Savio. Doku does a lot of that too. And then Eze is just a bit more of a unit, isn't he? I mean, how do we feel about this, Chat and Joe?
I mean, I don't know why people would turn their nose up at Eze. Where did Crystal Palace finish last season? It would have been around, 12th, 13th, something like that. Let me actually check real quick, because I want to, put this into perspective. Crystal Palace, 10th. They finished bang on, middle of the pack, mid-table. And he got 11 goals and 4 assists in the Premier League. So he got 15 G&A for a team that finished 10th in the Premier League. That's not bad. That's really not bad, especially considering if you think that he's going to be playing with, you put that into perspective. He'd be playing with better players here. Those numbers, should he get game time, 27 appearances. So, look, that's 15 G&A in 27 appearances. That's great. That's phenomenal for a team that finished 10th. England international as well. I think he's got a 60 million.
Elise was out for a lot of last season too, so he wasn't working with Elise.
I think he's got a 60 million release clause, so it literally does not take long at all whatsoever to get this deal done. It's a case of put the money on the table. You're in contract negotiations. I'm looking at injury record here. He had one muscle injury and he missed 5 games. It kept him out for a month. So, maybe potential. He's not had the worst injury record. The thing is about Pedro Neto, which I guess is the comparison, is if I remember right, his injury record is terrible. He's had multiple big injuries. I think he'd done his ACL yet. He's been out for 300 days with a knee injury. So he's done his ACL. Last season, he had 2 hamstring injuries. He missed about a combined 4 months last season. He missed the end of the season just gone. I'm looking here, 58 days with a hamstring injury and then 67 days. Like, Pedro Neto, very injury prone. I like Pedro Neto. Now, every time I watch him, I think he's really, really good and he makes Wolves tick and he's very dangerous. But the man has an issue with injuries, which, I mean, so did Haaland when we signed him. So have a few other players over the years, like Gundogan has never, like Kevin De Bruyne or even John Stones. John Stones has kind of been the one that we can't seem to have fixed. But Haaland had not a great injury record, and he's been pretty much fine. He missed 2 months last season, was fit for this, like the entire season, the season before, pretty much. Missed, what, a month maybe with a foot injury because we were really careful with it. Like, I don't know whether we'd be able to sort that though. You know, because hamstring injuries, what do you always say about hamstring injuries? Once you've done them, they don't go away. They just keep coming back, and he'd done it twice last season. So if I was to pick between the two, because those are the two that are on the table, it would be Eze, because he's more versatile. He can play both sides of the wing, can play in midfield, doesn't have as bad an injury record. You know, he's a Premier League proven player, England international, and has a release clause of 60 million. It's a no-brainer, really. If that's your option, if you want another attacking option, and it's kind of like, we've lost Alvarez, now we need to, you know, we're like 2 weeks away from the start of the Premier League season, we need to find someone, then, I mean, Eze's not going to be a difficult deal to do whatsoever. And I don't know why people would immediately write him off saying he's not City standard. We're not signing him to start every week. And he's, what, 26? Like, still potential development there as well.
With who? Which one's potential development? Oh, Eze.
Eze is 26. I don't know why people are saying he's not City standard. We're not signing him to come straight into the starting 11 and start week in, week out. We're signing someone to basically take up Alvarez's minutes if we're going to sign a forward player, which, what was Alvarez when everybody was fit? He was a bench player.
People also have this very skewed view of what an old and a young player is. You know, like 26 it's quite young on the grand scheme of things. You're not really meant to be in your prime till you're kind of 28, 29, 30. They're meant to be your peak years. Where people nowadays are always kind of chasing that Lamine Yamal-esque vibe of, we've got some ridiculously young kid who's ridiculously good, which is a 1 in a million chance of more than a million of getting a player like that. So I think we need to, you know, take the foot off the gas with the age sort of thing. Have we lost interest in Paqueta? Yeah, Paqueta's not happening. It's too complex. I don't even know what the current situation is. I don't know. Did he move to Brazil? I don't know what the situation with Paqueta is, but he's not happening. Look, they both have their pros. They both have their cons, and it feels like to me Eze is more suited to what we are looking for. And a lot of people in the chat saying he's not good enough and Eze is not the top player. I see that, but how many players do we sign that are absolute bangers, you know, unbelievable where they're coming from immediately? You know, we buy the majority of our players with the anticipation we're going to improve them. I always say to you lot, I think any player we sign, or 95% of players we sign, Pep is going to get a further 20-25% out of them and make them better. So I would have to have faith that if we were to go and get an Eze or a Neto, that they would improve under Pep and they would become better. The thing is with both of them, you know, Neto's a game changer. Neto's a game changer, and I mean that. I don't mean that for us in terms of changing us as a team. I mean, he's an actual match changer. You know, if you bring Neto off the bench up against a tired fullback, he's one of the last people in world football as a fullback you want to see with 20 minutes to go, and you've just been chasing Foden and Doku around all day. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't want to see Neto come on. That's why he picks up so many assists. I mean, Neto got 11 assists last season in 24 games in all competitions. That's really good. 24 games in all competitions. I know, look, we can go into the injury thing as Joe kind of did, but 12, 13, 14 GNA in 24 games. Really good. He's a game changer, but at the same time, his injury record, and does he quite have everything we're looking for? I'm not too sure. Where Eze does seem to have a lot more of what we're looking for. You know, he's more reliable on the injury front. He's far more versatile. He gets his GNA, and he's another one that can, potentially improve on the Pep Guardiola. I mean, signing for the sake of signing, we could have said the exact same thing about Akanji 2 years ago. We could have said that,
People
that
did.
exact phrase. People did.
Before he walked in the door, he was like, "Oh, he's fourth, fifth choice." I don't really know why. I know it's only 15 million, but he's like fourth or fifth choice centre back. Why are we signing him? And then, like 2 years later, everybody's going, "Wow, Akanji, what a signing!" We signed Nathan Ake from a relegated Bournemouth side. Look at him now. Like,
well, his whole first season, Nathan Ake, he was on the bench, but more times he wasn't seeing much football, and people were kind of like, "What is the plan for Ake?"
What was it? 45 million, and he was relegated, and people were like, "What? Why have we done this?" And now look at him. Like, I don't know why people are going mad over Eze, thinking he wouldn't improve playing with better players and with a better manager. I don't know why.
I mean, of course, look, we're going to have signings like Calvin Phillips and I was going to say Darwin Núñez, Mateus Núñez, We're going to have signings. That's the nature of football. Not every single one you sign is going to be an Akanji or a Bernardo or a Gundogan, these kind of players who they're not mega stars before they arrive, but they're good players with a lot of potential. But with Pep and the club, if they go and sign a player, you kind of just have to have full faith that they know what they're doing, because they've every right to they've earned every right for us to feel like that. I mean, I'm a big fan of Eze, and look, the release clause is rumored. The release clause is not it's not confirmed. I've seen some people say 50 million, some people say 60 million. If there is a release clause, I would kind of expect City to act on it. If you say Eze is not what we need, Iptris, what do we need? You know what I mean? The market is not exactly bulging at the brim with players that we can go him. You kind of have to weigh up each individual asset that the player is going to bring. As he's Premier League proven, England international, he was at the Euros. He's clearly Palace's best player. He's 26, so he's got plenty of experience. He's versatile. He's got an eye for goal and assist. A lot of that, will be taken into account. The eye, just the eyes for goals and assists is a big thing. When you talk about, I'm not a big believer and a big analyzer of, oh, well, you're taking out this many goals, you need to bring a player who's going to bring in those many goals. I don't like to focus on that too much, but you do have to think about it a bit. If you're losing a player like Alvarez with 32 GNA last season, you kind of want to bring in someone who's at least got an eye for it, who at least you're kind of expecting them to contribute a little bit, and he obviously does. So with Eze, I get it. If there's the release clause there, I expect City to act on it a little bit, I expect City to act on it. You're not bringing him in to be Kevin De Bruyne. You're not bringing him in to be Phil Foden. You're bringing him in to help. You're bringing him in to be a help in those situations. God willing, no one gets injured. Eze probably doesn't start most games. You know what I mean? He probably doesn't start most games. But the harsh reality of the situation is, with even more congested fixtures this season, I promise you someone major is going to get injured at some point. Touch wood, it doesn't happen, but I'd nearly put my whole studio here on it that someone major is going to get a bad injury. A Rodri, a De Bruyne, a Haaland, and we're going to go, right, who steps in? Let's say De Bruyne is out again. Yeah, let's say he's out again, which is every likelihood he is, because it happens to him every season. I think the last 3-4 seasons in a row, De Bruyne has been out for, significant periods. I like the idea of Eze beside Foden. I do. I like the idea of Eze beside Foden. Foden's the more technical, creative, intricate footballer, whereas Eze's a strong, powerful runner with the ball, can also link up. I like the idea. I think, as someone said, he's a joy to watch, Foden. He's a joy to watch. He's a really terrific player who, I think he's earned the opportunity to step up to a higher challenge. But as I always say, if you're signing for Man City, you're not signing with the expectation of being, on FIFA career mode, when they ask you when you're signing a player, how important is the player to your team? Like, important, crucial, not very important. You're not getting any of that. You're not going to get that. They're just going to tell you you're signing for a squad. You're signing for a squad. You're going to wear our badge and you'll play when you're told you're going to play. So that's kind of where I'm at. I personally think Eze makes the most sense out of these two players. If any of you in the chat have any other shouts as to who City could go for it. But and also, final point on this, people. The closer and closer we get towards the end of this transfer window, the more difficult it's going to become to sign anybody. Yeah? The more difficult it's going to become to sign anyone that doesn't have a release clause. So even at that, Eze makes the most sense because it's not time barred. It's not time barred. If it is a 60 million release clause, boom, here's your 60 M's. Let's chat to Eze and try and get him to sign a contract. But the closer we get to the window and players who don't have release clauses, the selling club can go, well, what? There's 2 weeks to go. You're leaving us with 10 days, 14 days to find a replacement for probably our top player. We're going to slap another 20, 30 million on top of his head. Whereas if we'd done the business, a month ago, the player probably wouldn't cost what you'd have to pay for him in the middle of August. So City, looking at the clock as well as the situation alongside the strategy, Eze probably makes the most sense. I think people who are hesitant towards Eze are probably just looking at it going, he plays for Palace, a mid-table Premier League club. It's not like a sexy signing from, I don't know, like fucking Juventus or Inter Milan or somewhere where you're going, we've signed off a big dog. No. You know what I mean? These players, they have to be given the opportunity to make their name, and he's made his name. I think he's well beyond playing for Crystal Palace at this point, Joe.
People are just too attached to the idea of a fancy name, of a Galactico. Everyone's seen Real Madrid pluck out Mbappe and Bellingham in back-to-back summers and just immediately demand that Tiki goes, Musiala, Wirtz, Rodrigo, Kimmich, Barella, all of these players that I'm seeing thrown around. De Jong. No, we've never done that. Haaland is the highest profile signing we've ever made. And even then it was only 50 odd million because it was a release clause. But that's the highest profile we've ever done. Grealish is our most expensive. He was at Aston Villa. Rodri. Our best and most important player, Rodri. One of the Ballon d'Or favourites, Rodri, was 65, 70 million release clause from Atletico Madrid. These are not sexy signings, but they are some of our best players. Akanji was 15 million. Alvarez was 15 million. We don't do that. We don't go and pluck world-class players out, season in, season out. We may do it every now and then. Look at Haaland. He was on the table. We went and done it. You potentially, when Kevin De Bruyne leaves, maybe we'll go out into the market and spend big money on a bad boy attacking midfielder. Maybe that's the plan, right? Look at me in my eyes. But we don't do that. When we've lost Julian Alvarez, we're not going to go out and go and sign a big name, are we? It's not going to happen. So it's all about tempered expectations. And I think, again, if you're turning your nose up at Eze, you probably don't watch him or probably think, he plays for Crystal Palace. I don't get it. He's an England international, potential release clause. And even if he doesn't have a release clause, his contract's up in 2027. He's got 3 years left. If he really wants a move, Palace are going to have to sell him in the next, season or two. If that's what he wants, because they've just given him a new contract, and it only runs for 3 years. So, we've been linked to him before. So I wouldn't even call it a panic buy, because we've been linked to him before. So surely there's, we've done our scouting. We know what type of player he is, and we know where he would fit in the squad. So it's not a panic either. And again, we're not signing him to come in and play starting number 10 behind Haaland week in, week out. He is the Alvarez replacement. If that's the plan, if we're signing another attacker because we sold Alvarez, he's the Alvarez replacement. And then you remember what Alvarez's role was. If we ever wanted to give Haaland a rest, he'd come in. If we ever we're chasing a goal in a game and he was on the bench, he'd come on. And every now and then he'd get minutes, next to Haaland, maybe slightly behind him in a number 10. When we had the option to rotate. And that's what his role would be. That would be Eze's role. Barring injuries, his role would be plays every now and then, when we can afford to maybe rotate or when we want to rotate. And then players, he's one of the first names in when there's an injury. If that's the plan, if City are like, we've lost Alvarez, we need another attacker, I don't know what box he doesn't actually tick. I really don't.
I agree. Lads, we're 30 likes off 100, and there's nearly 150 in the building. So make sure you've hit the like button, man. Let's go up to 100, then to 115. Yeah, they're the magic numbers. And subscribe if you're new around here. We're building up towards the Charity Shield on Saturday, and then it's all systems go for the league. I'm gonna tell you, Darsh, in a sec, and then I'm gonna read these super chats in this member chat as well. and then I'll tell you what I've heard. Big up JTI, man, another one of our gifters. Big up to you, member, for 3 months. Says, smash the likes, people. Big up you, people. Big up to all of you who are locked in, man. 150 of you. Like he says, hit the likes, man. JTI is a good guy around here. And here's our king, the king of kings, our king of members himself. Professional idiot says we have to reinforce that midfield significantly. We cannot go another season where our midfield is a weak point. Every season our midfield is our best quality. We have to spend the money now. Well, this is it. This is it. You know, you got to strengthen. You got to strengthen. If you're not strengthening, you're stagnating. You're plateauing. And people saying, well, just spend the money on a CDM. Spend the money on both. We have the money. At least I believe we have the money to spend money on both an attacking midfielder as well as a defensive midfielder. But of course, the defensive midfielder takes priority. That should be. I would really hope that something City are working on right now is getting a defensive midfielder in. You know, Rodri's injured. He's not going to play in the Charity Shield 100%. I think he's suspended as well. You know, as of today, apparently he's suspended for a game. He's not going to play in Stamford Bridge. I'd be surprised if he plays the week after too. And like I said the other night, people, with hamstring injuries, which he is dealing with right now, once you recover from a hamstring injury, it's not done. You know, it's not done. It's something that has to always be monitored, always checked up on, and there's every likelihood that it reoccurs. So with Rodri having now a hamstring kind of problem ongoing, or at least I would expect to be ongoing, we're going to need the reinforcement more than ever. So I think we have to go and spend, man. I think you're right, professionally. I think we have to go and spend and strengthen because that's what we got to do. It's what you got to do if you want the best chance. Right, I'm going to tell you people what I heard today about transfers and about a player. Please, as always, do not take me as ITK. Do not take me as someone you should come to whenever you're looking for gospel or for concrete news. I am no person to take at face value. Just know I've only heard it, and I hear these things from people, and I only say it to you if it's someone that I believe to be, you know, trustworthy, or someone who's not just your average dickhead on Twitter saying, I know what's going on, and blah, 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 blah. I have heard that in the last few days, City have made contact with the representatives of Jamal Musiala. They have made contact with the representatives of Jamal Musiala. They want Jamal Musiala. They really want Jamal Musiala long term. They believe Musiala is potentially one of the keys to the recycle or the new cycle of Manchester City, i.e. when kind of Kevin De Bruyne is gone, Musiala is potentially the future. Now, does that mean we are going to sign Musiala in the next 4 weeks? I don't know. It depends entirely how aggressive City want to go with this. Bayern do believe Musiala, as of right now, is untouchable. It's a very, very complex transfer to get over the line, if it ever gets over the line. Personally, I believe it will happen in 2025. If I have, that's me making a guess. That's not me. I haven't been told anything along those lines. I believe we will eventually get Jamal Musiala, and he'll be our next Erling Haaland blockbuster type signing in 2025. But if in some mad world it was to happen this month in August, you heard it here first. City have made contact. I don't know how the contact has gone, but they're definitely, you know, extending an olive branch to try and get Musiala to Manchester City. So, look, with that in mind, let's say, for example, Musiala is definitely going to happen in 2025. Think about this summer's plans. Who do you get this summer that will also be of use to us next summer? Should we go and get Jamal Musiala? Do you kind of know where I'm coming from here, Joe?
Agent Vinny, do us a solid, mate. Send him over our way, and in a few years' time, come manage him again. The game plan. We promise. If you land us Musiala, we'll sign you as a manager, innit? As long as you're any, half decent. Who did he beat the other day? Was it Chelsea that Bayern ended? No, Chelsea were playing Madrid. Who did Bayern Munich beat? So anyway, I don't really care about that. I mean, again, that's what I'm kind of leaning towards. As I said at the start, I'd be okay if we didn't sign an attacker, because we're kind of late into the transfer market. It's not the most necessary of positions that we need to strengthen right now, in my opinion. And with the potential of losing Kevin De Bruyne, we're going to need to sign a big signing in that area of the pitch in the next couple of seasons, or you'd like to. So potentially we can afford to wait that one out with the options that we have. You know, with Savio coming in, Bob, Doku, Grealish, Foden, Bernardo still being held hostage, McAtee, Nico O'Reilly. Like, you've got players there who can hold it out until, you know, a couple of years down the line, Kevin De Bruyne leaves. We go and, you know, Wirtz, Musiala, you know, one of the big boys. We go and try and land them instead. Like, that's why I'm kind of the opinion of I'm okay with waiting for that if there's an option if we think there's an option down the line, which I think there might be, and just signing a deeper midfield player, because that is something we need right now. Calvin Phillips is just, I just hope to God we can find a resolution for him, because that didn't work, and we need to go again. You know, if a transfer doesn't work, you don't just sit there, hold your hands up and go, oh, well, we tried. No, you're going to try again. You're going to try and solve the problem again. We've got a problem with our one and only holding midfielder is missing for the start of the season and has basically played 60 games for 2 seasons in a row, and, you know, at this very moment in time, might have to do another 60, 70 games this season, which is ridiculous to expect him to do. So that's kind of why I'm not too pushed about, you know, Eze and Neto. I'm not really bothered. If the club think they need an extra attacker, then Eze is, you know, pretty my choice, because Olmo's gone, and you're not going to get one of the big hitters now this late in the window, and you're not going to get a number 9. So Eze is kind of, you know, probably would be one of my first choices, just down to availability. But again, I don't think we need one. So I wouldn't actually be signing Eze anyway. I'd be trying to target someone who plays a bit further back. And then when you inevitably have to let Kevin De Bruyne go, whether he retires or whether he moves to Saudi or America or, you know, whatever he decides to do, that's when you go and use your cash for the big boys. That's why I'm not fully judging now. I know people are annoyed that we haven't spent money and we've sold all these academy players and we have loads of money available to spend, which we do. We have loads of money available to spend. But if we're waiting to spend it to replace Kevin De Bruyne and think it's going to take a lot of money to do that, then I understand, which is why I'm kind of not judging the not spending thing right now. Because, you know, in a couple of years down the line, if we smash our transfer records like in the next 2 seasons, I'll look back at this summer and go, oh, you know, I understand why we didn't spend loads.
But what about fixing a problem before it arises, if you know what I'm saying? Like, why wait for De Bruyne to leave to find his replacement? Because as Jama says in the chat, De Bruyne at this point probably needs to come off the bench as he ages. I'm not saying that's something that we have to do with De Bruyne every single game, but the reality is, you know, as someone else says in the chat, we have 70 to 75 matches this season if we make it to the semi-finals of the FA Cup and Champions League. De Bruyne is not playing 70 to 75 matches. He's not starting 70 to 75 matches. So neither is Foden. Is it fair to expect Foden, just because he's younger, to play 70 to 75 matches? And that's is that including or excluding the Club World Cup, which is in June as well, which City will go all guns out for as well? Is it fair to expect either of them, both of them, to play 70 to 75 matches? Take both them out, you're left with Bernardo, Kovacic, maybe Grealish, Nunez. Am I missing someone?
Oh, dear. Nunez, just even the name Nunez is kind of like still here.
But that's the reality though, because look, I agree with most people that look, we have a great starting 11. When everybody's fit, everybody's healthy, the starting 11 is strong, really, really strong. But is the reality of the starting 11 being the starting 11 for 70, 75 games worth trusting? No, it's not, people. It's not. Depth is absolutely paramount when you're in, 4 or 5 competitions, and knowing Pep, he wants to go deep and potentially win all the competitions. So is that enough? That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking beyond the starting 11. If you have no De Bruyne and no Foden, you're left with Bernardo. Actual midfielders. You're left with Bernardo, Nunez, and Kovacic.
Yeah. Because you've got Grealish, but he's not played. He's actually, we haven't used him there. So it's an unknown, because we haven't used him in that position. Apart from maybe, I think I've seen him in the middle a couple of times, like late on in games when we've made subs. Like maybe I've seen it. But Grealish has never done 90 minutes starting in the midfield for us, not that I can remember. So that's an unknown. And then you look past just Bernardo, Kovacic, and Nunes. Then you go into McAtee. Then you go into Nico O'Reilly, Maximo Perrone. These players have, they ain't played first team football for us. Like, depth wise, it could be better. Because look at, right, Bernardo, Kovacic, and Nunes, they're all similar players. They're not number 6, they're not number 10. All three of them are a number 8. And those are our backups. They're all the same. They all want to play the same position. Bernardo can play on the right. Kovacic can play as a holding midfielder, but that's not his position. I don't even know what Nunes can play, because I ain't seen him. I don't even know if he's still alive. Like, need someone else. Need a little bit more versatility, because it's just not going to cut it with 70, 75 games. So, signing someone in that position in midfield would be a priority. That's why I kind of disregarded Pedro Neto. I don't think we need another winger. I think we need someone else who can play in midfield. I think that is, a bare minimum of what we need. You could throw in Rico Lewis as well, but again, he's not 6. He's not even really an 8. He's a right back. He's not 10. Yeah. Like, we've got what we have is we have bodies. We have a number of players that we can play in that position. Play in midfield. But how many of them would you say are, top quality or, are good in the areas that we need? Again, how many of those players are, capable 6s? Kovacic is really the only one. And then after that, we don't really have one. Like, it's Rodri, and then it goes to Kovacic, and then it goes, well, if John Stone's fit, maybe he can play there. And then that's it.
Well, that's kind of why then I feel Eze makes the most sense, no? I think Eze is a very assured signing. You kind of know what you're getting from. I don't think he'll take that much time to adapt. I think he'll be allowed to play the kind of way he does at Crystal Palace, and it's more depth. I just don't think we have more depth. Phillips is still here. Phillips isn't going to play.
He's looked better at centre back anyway, so he's not a midfield player anymore because he can only really play at the back because he's been useless in midfield. But he's been okay in pre-season at centre-back. But he is still here. But again, that's why signing someone like Eze makes more sense than Neto, because Eze can play in a more advanced position. And if we were to sign Eze, that tells me that Pep and, the club think that Kovacic can be the number 6. He can play as a number 6. That's why we'd be signing another attacking player. Because if they didn't think Kovacic can play there, why would we go and sign another midfielder who's going to play in an advanced position? It doesn't make sense. It's just completely stupid to go and do that. But if they think Kovacic is down number 6, the Rodri backup, then yeah, Eze maybe makes sense.
I think it does anyway. I think it does. I mean, look, if we look at the way the squad was over the years, we always have 3 and 4 solid attacking midfielders at a time. De Bruyne, Gundogan, Bernardo, Foden even. We've always had 3 or 4 very, very solid, if not class, midfielders at a time who all offer different kinds of things. We're lacking that right now. You know what I mean? The only midfielders that you really, really trust to start in the midfield and say they are our firing boys. You know what I mean? They're the assassins. They're the creators. They're the drivers. Are De Bruyne and Foden. Bernardo spent most of his time on the right wing. He may spend some time in the midfield this season, but De Bruyne and Foden are the only 2. It's very thin. It's very thin for a more congested fixture schedule than ever, which is why, especially with Alvarez gone now, Alvarez was even one of those options in say, the treble season. He played in midfield a little bit. So you would have had Gundogan, Bernardo, Alvarez, De Bruyne, Foden, could all play in midfield and do what they did. You know what I mean? Now we don't. Now once you leave De Bruyne and Foden, you're moving down to Nunes, Kovacic, and McAtee. Is that the same hit? I'm not so sure. Let me have a look at the super chat. Guys, hit the like button, man. The 20 likes off 100, 140 in the building. What are we doing, man? Hit the likes. Big up MCFC, man. Good to see you, my brother. Do you think the Bruno saga is over?
Pretty much.
Do I think the Bruno saga is over? Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Pretty much. Like if there's nothing like as soon as Alvarez gets announced, if there's nothing within like 24 to 48 hours, given that we now have even more money to spend, yeah, forget about it. Move on.
Yeah, I mean, he made that tweet, didn't he? Bruno. I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, which I wouldn't necessarily. That means it's concrete. He's staying, but I think that tells me more that he expects that he's staying. That no one's going to come in for him, and he expects to be doing another season at Newcastle. That's what I think, at least, anyway. And again, I have small hope that we maybe go back in because we got money for Alvarez, but not really. Like if we weren't going to pay his release clause, it's kind of like I just kind of thought it was over because I don't think Newcastle were going to budge.
Here it is. He says, I'm very happy to be starting another season with this club that has done so much for me since my first day here. I'm glad to be back. I'm more prepared than ever to have a brilliant season and to help Newcastle reach the highest possible position. Another dream has come true. Being the captain of this he's the captain now, is everything I've always dreamed of, but never imagined. We're in this together, and I'm sure I'll be more dedicated than ever to this. He's not leaving. If he used to leave after that, he'd never be welcome in Newcastle again. They've given him the captain's armband, obviously. It feels almost like the way we gave the captain's armband last season to Kyle Walker. Remember, Pep was obviously desperate for Kyle Walker to stay.
Don't remind me.
That's the way it was.
No, I know, but Pep went and had dinner with him for like 2.5 hours, said, you can have the armband, you can have the armband. He stayed, and now everybody a season later is going, get him out.
Yeah, well, Newcastle have given Bruno G the armband to make him stay, essentially, to make him stay. He's not going. But that's no excuse for us not signing a defensive midfielder. I think we could have got Bruno a month ago or over a month ago now. We could have made it happen, I think. There was a release clause window. And even after the release clause window, I think if we had have offered them 105, we would have been at the table to talk. I think negotiations could have happened, but City didn't act on it. Now where do we turn to, For me, it feels like, yeah, we should have. I agree, but for me, it kind of feels like, yeah, it's Kovacic season. I think Kovacic starts at number 6 this Saturday, almost certainly. I think he starts in Stamford Bridge at number 6, almost certainly. I think the midfield you guys can expect for the next few weeks is Kovacic, Foden, De Bruyne. That's not the Charity Shield. Sorry, not the Charity Shield, because they're just back from. De Bruyne is literally just back training today, I think. But you know what I mean. Premier League, I think the midfield is Kovacic, De Bruyne, Foden. And then if worse was to really come to worse, it probably is Nico O'Reilly or maybe Mateus Nunes. I don't think Calvin Phillips is even in the conversation. So look, that's kind of where we're at. At the moment, I feel like we are more likely to sign an attacking player than a Rodri backup. That's not what I want, people. Before you all go, oh, you're crazy Irish bastard. That's not what I want. I want us to go and say, let's go steal Zubimendi from under Liverpool's nose. Liverpool are in for Zubimendi. Let's go steal that from under their nose. I like Zubimendi. I feel we're more likely to get an attacking player than a defensive player. MCFC in again. Good to see you, MCFC, man. Appreciate your super chats tonight, bro. He says, you think we could go for Anthony? No, I don't. I don't think Anthony Gordon. I think Anthony Gordon ends up at Liverpool. Probably not this summer. I think next summer. He's a Liverpool fan.
Which is wild, because the bro's Everton.
Bro, Carragher, you know what I mean? In Liverpool, in Merseyside, the whole Liverpool-Everton rivalry is not... It's not it's not cutthroat, do you know what I mean? There's no blood exchange. It's just... Fuck you, lad, type thing. Do you know what I mean? It's not,
I still find it wild how two teams in the same city with stadiums just like a mile apart or whatever just exchange players every now and then, have players that play for both. That's just wild.
It's not that long ago, Joe, that at Merseyside derbies, the fans used to sit together. There was no segregation. There was no away end and home end. The fans would be in the stands together. They'd sit beside each other. So, do I think we could go for Anthony Gordon? I doubt it. Now we've got Doku, Savio, Grealish, Bernardo, and so on and so forth. Bob, of course, too. Oscar Bob. I don't think we really need him, MCFC, if I'm being totally real with you. I don't think we really need him. And he'd be an expensive coup. I think Anthony Gordon is potentially, at this point, another £100 million player. Not that I think he's worth it. But, that's probably what Newcastle will look from off us. So, probably not, unfortunately. Big up JTI, man. Good to see you, JTI. Says, smash these likes. Come on, get it to 115. Come on, people. 150 people in the building. So, we're on 90 likes. What's that? 25 likes and we can get 115 likes. How about that, man? Let's get to 115 likes.
Can we get 137 for the 22 charges of being late?
But yeah, big up to you, JTI. Smash the likes, people. I like Anthony Gordon, MCFC. I do. I really like him. I think he's a good player, and I think he's ready to play for a league challenging team. And the thing is, with a lot of these players, these English ones, Gordon, Eze, Tony, and Watkins, say those four, for example, all of them will be keen to move away from their current clubs. Maybe the least so, Ollie Watkins, because he seems to really like it at Aston Villa, and they've obviously got a very good team. But all of them will be keen to play for the highest club they possibly can between now and World Cup 2026. Because none of them want to be going to World Cup 2026 and being unused subs again, or not being... They all want to be there as main men, Tony and Watkins. Two really good players. Kane will be 2 years older again come the Euros next, or the World Cup next time round. They'll both feel like we could take minutes off Harry Kane, 100%. Anthony Gordon, he'll feel really hard done by the lack of minutes he got at Euro 2024 just there. So if he gets a move to Liverpool, lights it up for Liverpool, you know the way it works. If you play well for a top four team or a big four team, you're going to play. You're going to start for England. So I don't know. I personally, look, I said I think Anthony Gordon will play for fucking Liverpool eventually. I think he'll play for Liverpool. Grizz seems really confident as well that they're going to get Gordon. But speaking of Grizz, man, he's talking about Zubimendi, to Liverpool. There's a player, man. There's a player that City should be like, he's good. He's good. He is good. I like Zubimendi a lot. And he'd be a good deputy to Rodri, can also play as number 8 if needs be. If we wanted to be aggressive about it, we can go and steal him. I mean, let me get up some of his numbers here, man. What do you think about Zubimendi, Joe?
I don't know why I haven't heard his name all summer. I really don't. It's been Bruno. Couple of Joel Neves headlines, and people have been throwing Kimmich at us for weeks, even though there's been no direct links, between us and Kimmich, apart from the fact that his contract's running out. That's about as far as it's got. I'm surprised I never heard of Zubimendi, at all, not once. Like maybe a few people were talking about him in the chat, but there was no headlines, no articles, no nothing about a guy who... He went to the Euros, didn't he? He went to the Euros, and he won the Euros.
Not play for Rodri in the final when Rodri went off?
Pretty sure he was the guy who came on at half-time for Rodri in the final, and he won the Euros, and he has a release clause, and we haven't been linked. And he's Spanish, and we haven't been linked. I'm shocked, because that ticks all the boxes. He's Spanish. We know we love a good Spanish player. Rodri. Well done, man. Release clause. We know Tiki loves a release clause, especially if it's around 60 million. He loves one of those. And we weren't linked at all. When Bruno was looking unlikely, and when all the other targets were looking unlikely, it was just nothing.
He's I've got Zubimendi up here. He's 25. We signed Rodri at 24. He played 45 times for Sociedad last season. 4 goals, 1 assist, and he played as a defensive midfielder and a centre midfielder. So there's box ticked again. You know what I mean? There's more boxes ticked that Pep would love. At Sociedad, he's contracted till 2027, and he's on €57,000 a week. So he's on about 50 grand a week. This is a deal City could go and steal from Liverpool. 110%. Not going to happen, but it's the kind of player I'd be looking at. It's the kind of player I would be looking at. He would be a fantastic coup. Rodri's literal finalist backup to win the Euros. Who better to sign for Manchester City?
It's such a perfect fit, and we just haven't looked at it. I don't understand why. Release clause literally was Rodri's backup in a European Championship winning team. I really don't understand that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, It is what it is. Guys, we're 5 likes off 100, man. Keep smashing the like button. I'm going to have a look at some of these super chats. Appreciate your super chats, people, by the way. Puneet, your expectations for this season? Win the league. Win the league. Have a good go at the Champions League. Have a good go at the cup competitions. A lot of the expectations, Puneet, hinge on how the squad looks come the end of the transfer window. You know, when it shuts, who have we got? Are we comfortable in our Rodri deputy? Are we comfortable in our attacking complement of players? You know, that's where the expectations come from. We'll probably do a proper expectations sort of stream, or I don't know about predictions because they're a bit fucking jarring. Everyone does predictions, don't they? But we'll do City sort of expectations when the window closes. But yeah, as always, when you're 4 in a row champions and you broke all the records we have, your expectations have to be high. You know, you have to aim high. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. MCFC again, brother. All signs point towards Eze, it seems. Yeah, I mean, look, it's only the rumor mill, really, isn't it? The Eze thing. There's nothing concrete to go off, but the two names thrown out there most frequently are Eze and Neto. I think Tommy spoke on Eze as well recently. And myself and Joe have just spent the whole stream kind of weighing up the pros and cons of each player. Yeah, Tommy says, "Come on, whoever posted that picture today of Phil landing a big fish with Eze, talk about gone fishing. His buyout is 60 million just for info." Tommy's a troll, man. Tommy's a troll. But yeah, Tommy believes Eze City are interested in him. And I've also told you, I don't know if you were here for it, that City have made contact with Musiala's representatives. I've been told that City have made contact with Musiala's entourage. Musiala will be a fucking game changer for us, man. He's the future. He's the future. He's in that category of world class players that are going to be world class for a long, long time. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, even at Bayern Munich, Musiala's contract is not. It's not nothing special, and he's stalling over it. You know, he's not signing a new contract. Bayern are trying to do with Musiala what they did with Leroy Sané, which is we'll make you the face of German football. You know what I'm saying? When anyone thinks of German football, they'll think of Musiala. That's exactly all the spiel they fed to Leroy Sané, and Sané fell for it. You know, I mean, he's on €96,000 a week, so about £85,000 a week. He's only contracted till 2026. You know, so Bayern need to fucking move. If they want to keep Musiala, they need to move and offer him something he cannot refuse, as the Godfather would say. Musiala be a game changer, Joe, but I don't see any reason with having Eze, Musiala in the same squad. You know, because De Bruyne, for me, I think this is his last season. Maybe not, but I'm nothing to base that off. But my feeling is this is De Bruyne's last season. So talk about next summer, we could be in a position where we have Foden, Musiala, and Eze all as midfield options. Pretty fucking good, if you ask me.
Yeah, and then during the course of the season, one of them would play as a false 9, because Haaland is pretty likely to pick up some sort of injury, or just be in need of, you know, rest and rotation. Like, that's just going to happen throughout the course of the season. So, you know, there's no reason why all three of them couldn't play. You know, and that could be a front three. You know, for all I know, like, there's a realistic possibility. I don't think that just because you sign Eze this season, it means that Musiala, you know, it conflicts with the Musiala deal and potentially changes that. It doesn't, because who knows what shape the squad is in next season? Maybe, I don't know, something happens with Grealish. There's been noise, hasn't there, constantly about Grealish potentially leaving, this being a make or break season for Grealish. Bernardo Silva may end up leaving as well. We don't know how long he's actually going to be held hostage. Again, Kevin De Bruyne probably going to leave in the next 2 seasons, I'd say. If this season isn't his last, I'd expect next season to be his last. I really would. I don't think he's got too long left. So I really don't think Eze conflicts with that signing at all. I don't know. And we've just lost Alvarez. Maybe someone comes in for Mateus Nunes. Maybe we move on from Kovacic. You know, maybe things like that happen. Like, I don't think just because you sign Eze, it goes, right, we've signed an attacking midfielder. Musiala's not happening because we already signed Eze.
Mm-hmm. No. Whoever we sign this summer will not impact City's pursuit of Musiala. It won't. You know what I mean? It actually doesn't matter who we have next summer. Musiala, I think, will be priority. MCFC again. Wow, that would be nuts. Is your source usually on the money? My source is the person who told me at the time first that were signing Erling Haaland. I knew in February, I think, of that year that we were signing Erling Haaland. And Joe can attest for me. Wasn't I one of the first people to know about this, Joe?
Yeah, you did say that you were told that, everything was in place for Haaland. And we did end up hearing, what was it, about 3 months? After that, 3-4 months, that we were paying his release clause and he was signing.
And I was one of the first people to see Haaland in a City kit. Remember, I had that leaked photo, or it eventually got leaked, but I had it before it was leaked, and I was told I'm not allowed to share it. I was sent a photo of Haaland in the kit from this person, and I was told, don't make it public. Like, don't send it to anybody, but here's a picture of Haaland wearing the Man City kit. And I was like, oh shit! And eventually it went viral, but that's my source. So it's someone who has a good record with me, a good record with me. They also told me we were going to get Kovacic before we signed Kovacic, so. There's kind of two for you to go off. So I do trust this person. Which is the only reason I say it to you guys. Loads of people tell me all sorts of things, and the majority of which I don't take seriously. Because you know how this world works. Football transfers. Everybody claims to know what they're talking about. I don't claim to know what I'm talking about. I just tell you what I hear. I'm not affiliated to the club. I have no don't have Tiki on speed dial. But when I hear something from someone that I think to be right, they might know something. I'll tell you guys. I'll never tell you who it is, but I'll tell you. Your source is my source is not Martin. my source is not Martin. I think Martin is a good source too, though, to be fair to him, but it's not Martin from the Mancunian way. Big up to him though. I haven't seen him in a while. I know he was out in Orlando. Hugh is the inside source. He contacted Musiala himself. No.
Listen, if you're on Tiki's payroll, please get on the phone to him right the fuck now and say, brother, spend some money.
Yeah, I think it'll be Tiki's last season at Manchester City. As I've already told you that before, I think Tiki's going to retire next summer. I think he's going to retire. I've been told he's going to retire. I've been told Ferran Soriano is going to go to New York. Tiki's going to go and retire. And I was also told Pep's going to leave next summer. But, you know what I mean? We're all kind of hoping that that's not the case.
He went to Abu Dhabi, and now all we're hearing is, well, he might do another year. He might make it 10.
Might make it 10. I have nothing on that, by the way, people. I have nothing on the Pep contract situation. I've heard nothing. Radio silence. Radio silence. I have heard though that there's positive talks between City and Erling Haaland's entourage. That they're confident they can get a new deal for Erling Haaland. Rodri, they're going to open up talks with in the next few weeks. Phil Foden too. So Rodri, Haaland, and Foden. City are going to be making big efforts on. Keep an eye on those over the next, let's say between now and Christmas. Keep an eye on the contracts of Foden, Rodri, and Haaland. The club want to get them all on new contracts. Essentially, I made a tweet the other day, Joe. I read it out because I think it's nice to look back on these things. It's nice to look back on these things. I said if you told me Alvarez would leave before Haaland the day we unveiled them both, I'd have said it's wishful thinking. Yet here we are, and he ain't going anywhere anytime soon. It is crazy to deep it. Now that Alvarez has gone to deep it, that the day we unveiled them both, I remember that exact day, my DMs were flooded with fuckers telling me, oh, he's only going to stay 2-3 years and he's going to fuck off to Real Madrid. Wow. Still here. City trying to get him on a new contract. Our backup striker's gone. So if we sell Haaland, we have no striker. And we don't look like we're signing a striker anytime soon. Haaland's staying,
Don't forget Stefan Ortega as well. In that. We had Alvarez, Haaland, and free agent signing Stefan Ortega. Which again, that's another one, isn't it? That's another one where people are going about, why don't we sign this player and that player? Why are we signing Eze? He's not good enough. We signed a free agent goalkeeper from Germany who, again, I think he'd just been relegated from the Bundesliga. We signed him for free. And people are on about him starting as first choice next season.
Yeah, I know. Well, Phillips was also meant to be at that unveiling that day, but he had COVID, didn't he? So
he would have ruined the whole thing. Looking back on it now, wouldn't it? Just he comes plodding along like, we've just unveiled Haaland, and here's Calvin Phillips. 2 years later, you look back at that and go, oh my god.
It kind of set the tone for his City career that missing the unveiling because of COVID, didn't it? The week later he went out and got injured against Barcelona in a pre-season friendly to the shoulder and was out for months.
And then went out to New
Recovered.
York and started eating cheap pizza and didn't return back early to try and, crack on with his City career. Then everything fell apart. He got called fat. Went on a very unsuccessful loan spell and ended up playing centre back in pre-season. And now we're here.
Yeah.
And we can't get rid of him. He's here to stay.
Does no harm though that he played well in pre-season. Maybe it'll drive up his price a little bit. But who's going to pay the price? You know what I'm saying? Who's going to pay the price for Calvin Phillips? Speaking of players that should probably leave, I've seen on my timeline today quite a bit of divisiveness more than usual about Cancelo and whether we should keep Cancelo or not. He returned to training at the CFA today. And some people are saying maybe we should keep him. I would imagine a lot of that stems from people's frustrations and unrest with Kyle Walker. And then people were saying we should go and get Jeremy Frimpong. But I've told you a million times we're not getting Jeremy Frimpong. How do you feel about Cancelo? He's back. He's training. What's going to happen there? I wonder who's going to take him.
Hopefully Barcelona can just dump up the cash now that they've found 60 million from somewhere to pay for Dani Olmo. Come get your boy. We don't want him. We don't claim him anymore. I don't understand. There can't be a way back. Surely there can't be a way back. It doesn't work. Like, when has Pep ever gone back on his stance on a player? When has that ever happened where he's gone, you know what, I forgive you. Welcome back. Never happened. How is there a way back? I just don't understand. I think he's only there because, where else would he be? And let's be honest. He's got nowhere else to be. No other club is in for him at the moment. He's going to return to the training, but I still don't see a way back. I'll be shocked if he manages to make it back in the squad and stay for a season. I really would, because I just didn't think that it was Pep at all to just forgive and forget. Especially for a player like Cancelo, who, let's be quite clear, he's not necessary. We don't need him. He doesn't necessarily fit the way that we've been playing for the last couple of seasons. In fact, that's the reason why he stopped playing and got so mad and started kicking off, because we changed the system and he didn't suit what he wanted. That's why Rico Lewis came in, because he suited the system better. So we don't really play to his strengths. I'd be amazed if he's, relied upon this season.
You know what though? If we had if Pep did forgive Cancelo and they made friends again, kissed and made up, he'd be a pretty good player to have in the squad. You know what I'm saying? He'd be a pretty good player to have in the squad. He's, like I said, I think he's one of the most gifted players I've ever seen at our club in terms of talent and technical ability. Just his attitude stinks to high heavens, doesn't it? Yeah, and he's currently collecting 250 grand a week off us. I don't know. Now that Barca have blown their load on Dani Olmo, are they likely to go and get Cancelo too? I don't know. Could he go to Saudi? I don't know. Does he want to go to Saudi? I don't know. Hugh, do you think Palmer and Foden is the reason we aren't making any signings and going full academy hog? Do I think Palmer and Foden is the reason we aren't making... I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I do think we'll see more of the younger players this season. Bob, Rico Lewis, maybe McAtee. I think we'll see a bit of Savio too. But Foden particularly is a maverick. Foden is a special player. Most academy players we get most academy graduates aren't going to be of Phil Foden's level. A lot of them won't be of Cole Palmer's level either too. If we had kept Cole Palmer, we probably wouldn't be having a lot of the conversations we're having now. But at the end of the day, if he wanted to go, he wanted to go. Ironic that we need a right back. Do we need a right back? You got a Kanji, Stones, and Rico Lewis there. If Walker's not to be the man, I'm not sure we really do. I'm quite the back line, the defense, the back four, back five, whatever. That's probably the area of the pitch I'm most satisfied. We've got a pretty decent complement of players there, I think, Joe.
Well, yeah, like, even though we had our weakest point last season was defensively, it wasn't going forward. We scored enough goals. It was just the conceding of stupid goals, which, some of that comes down to the over-reliance on Rodri, because by the last 2 months of the season, the man was gassed and basically was just putting in, average performances for the most part, because he just couldn't keep going. And when your shield for your defence goes, he's number 6, he sits in front of the back four. When he goes, or maybe has a decline in performances, that's obviously going to result in conceding more goals. So, now, obviously, that didn't help. Stones being injured for the majority as well was not ideal. The man couldn't stay fit. Walker deciding that he wasn't going to be arsed playing unless the winger's name was Vinicius Jr. as well also didn't really help. And playing Vardiol as a high-flying left-back for tactical reasons, because there wasn't really much else we could do, probably didn't help either, because obviously his skill set is more suited to defending. It's not like he was bad. In fact, to end the season, he was one of our better players, but his game still wasn't going forward. We signed him as a centre-back at the end of the season playing left wing. Like, that shouldn't happen. So I'm happy with the personnel, but it does kind of bottle down to fitness. Is Stones going to stay fit? Is Walker going to be reliable? Is Cancelo going to stay at the club? Well, what's the plan for Rico Lewis? And things like that.
It's a big season for John Stones.
Potentially make or break for him as well. We speak about Grealish it being make or break. Could be make or break for John Stones. Because I don't think he has too long left on his contract. And if he's going to play another season where he only plays 25, 30 games, then do you move him on? No matter how good he is. He can't stay fit. What's the point? You're just keeping him there because you might get 20 games. It's pointless, hanging your hat on him if he's not going to be consistently available.
He's only contracted till 2026, John Stones. And if his injury record continues in the vein it has, which I know it's not his fault, but it's you know what I mean. It's cut through.
He's one of the highest paid players as well, isn't he? He's on like 250k a week. Like he's up there.
Yeah. 250. If his injury record keeps acting up the way it is, they won't give him a new contract. So it's a big season for him. Like we know about John Stones when he's fit and he's healthy. We know about him, what he can do and how good he is. But the issue is the fitness side of things. So big season for him. Big season for a lot of players. But yeah, I guess that's kind of it. We've talked about it. My bets. I'm hedging my bets with City signing Eze. I have nothing to base that off. I have no information on that, but I'm betting City will sign Eze. I believe we'll sign someone, and if I have to say who, I think it'll be Eze. Do I think we'll sign a defensive midfielder? Less likely now. Less likely. I feel less likely. I feel less confident that we're going to sign a defensive midfielder. So look, that's kind of it, people. We're live over an hour and 15 minutes. Big up to all of you who are still locked in, over 130 of you here. If you just do us a favor and hit the like button, it really, really does help more people find the channel. More content coming over the next couple of days. Community Shield on Saturday as well. Plenty to talk about there. So subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything. We appreciate each and every single one of you. Become a channel member if you fancy it as well. Help support me and Joe. And listen, until the next time, good night and God bless. Wrap her up, Joey boy.
Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand.